What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to a special edition of the Nickel City Mafia show. Here tonight, we're going to be report card time. It's report card time, Mr. Sean Kula. I know the Bills players have been eagerly awaiting our grades. So is everybody else. But thanks for joining me tonight. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's been a while since you and I have done a show together, so this is fun for me. And normally at this time, we're doing you and Brett are doing the red, white, and ruthless. Brett and his wife got something going on this weekend, some beautiful stuff. And then, Jake is busy tonight as well. But we'll get back to our normal um, podcasting times next week, or we'll have the Saturday and the Sunday show. But Sean, I mean, we're 9-2, man. Let me ask you. I think we all had some doubts at the beginning of the season, right? With all the big changes the Bills made, there were concerns on that offensive line. There were concerns with losing our number one and number two receiver. If I would
hmm
have said to you at the beginning of the year, we're going to be 9-2 at 11 games, what would you have said to
I said, I got to see it to believe it.
that? Yeah, I don't think anybody. I mean, maybe Jessica. She's out there. Hey, Jessica, how you doing? Good to see you. Jessica is. I don't want to bug her tonight. She's on the show as well usually, but hopefully she'll join us next week for our normal times. But yeah, 9-2, Sean. I think we all, when I did my prediction, I thought the Bills would be like 11-16. I thought they'd be good, but 11-6, and they can still be there. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm wrong yet, but 9-2, I did not expect that, especially with some of the teams that we've had to play, especially the Chiefs last week. And that was kind of like, man, this team is something special. They're building. When you can beat the Chiefs, the best of the best, that says something. But yeah, 9-2, Sean. No way would I have said 9-2. I'd have been like, "What's wrong with you? What are you smoking? What are you drinking?" And it's crazy that we're here, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm loving it. First time since '92, so I've never witnessed this team being 9-2 ever. So definitely not what I expected. I think me and you were both in the same boat. We said 10-7 until they can prove with the new coaching, the new weapons, the new system that they can perform. And then I think I want to say probably by week 7 or 8, I recalibrated my expectation. I was like, I think they can be better than 10-7, and then here we are. We're one game away from reaching the what we thought.
Yeah, I think I started at 10-7. I think I adjusted to 11-6 at some point, but man, it's a great start. Great start. Great weekend to just kind of relax. And what better time to do some grades? We're going to go around the horn here on all the position groups, including coaching, including special teams. We'll end with those two. But let's start with the defensive line. Sean, give me your take on what you've seen. And by the way, been looking at numbers. When you look at the defensive numbers from the Bills, they're kind of middle of the pack for most of the stats. It's insane. I'll talk about one big stat they are number one in, and this is kind of a combination of both the offense and the defense, but it's the turnover differential, and that probably has played a humongous it's had a humongous impact on why we're 9-2. We're plus 14. We're number one in that stat, and it's been pretty impressive. But if you were to look at numbers, Sean, like if you look at passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, Bill's defense is right in the middle of the pack. And if you look at pressures, and I'll tell you what, and this is, I know you, I know you evaluate the offensive line, but on the defensive side, there's a huge disparity between PFR and PFF. And again, those are just tools for those that are out there. PFF is Pro Football Focus, and the other one is Pro Football. What do they call themselves? Pro Football Reference.
Reference, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a huge
Talking about for D
disparity.
line.
Yeah, for the defense. Yeah, for the D line.
hmm
Bills rank 16th in quarterback pressures according to PFR, with a pressure rate of 22.9%. According to PFF, Bills rank fifth in pass rush. So a big disparity there. But in other stats here, let me give you some here. Yards per game, Bills rank 16th, giving up 329 yards per game. They rank 14th in passing yard per game and 13th in rushing yards per game. They give up 119.1 yards on the ground per game. They're 12th overall in sacks with 27. And like I said, I've already given you some of the pressure numbers. But let's start with the D line. Give me your take on that D line and what grade you're going to give them.
Did you want to separate them or just have
No,
overall D line?
as a
Okay.
whole, as a whole.
Well, they haven't been, top tier, and we kind of expected that. We don't have any, super elite edge rusher. We have good, good unit across the board, good depth at every position. But besides really Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau at times, those are the two, not big name guys because they are considered star players, but the ones that actually produce, and even them both have had some quiet times, but pressure rate, you could 16 or 5, you could put it in the middle a little bit. We'll say like 10 or 11, if you want to average them both together. I think pressure rate is important because pressures you might not get sacks, but you can force bad throws, turnovers, and plays to go bad. So I would say overall, with the depth included, I'd probably say like a B minus, because you would like a little bit more from your star players like Rousseau and Oliver, and they both done great, but everybody wants that stat sheet, so they got to show up a little bit more on the stat sheet.
Yes, I see Jessica out there. She's saying the Bills are, she thinks they're top 10 in red zone defense. I knew you were going to say that, Jessica, and I brought some stats to see if I can back that up. So, and this is for touchdowns. So, touchdowns scored when you're inside the opposing team's inside the red zone. We've given up, we are 11th overall. We've given up 51% of the time a team scores a touchdown against us when they're in the red zone. The top team, just for reference, is Chicago, believe it or not. Only 40% of the time when a team's inside their 20-yard line in the red zone do they give up a touchdown. So pretty interesting. Look, Trek Reviewer must be, I don't know, you partying tonight, sir? He says, and Cam still sucks. No, not at all. Come on now. But good to see you out there, Trek Reviewer. And he's also watching some college football, of course. But yeah, so Sean, I'm going to give him a B. I mean, a B minus to me is too close to a C, and I think when you consider that, Von missed 4 games, not to injury, but suspension. Um, Dwayne Carter, our young rookie, who was looking pretty good, starting to make some plays, make a difference. He got injured, went on IR. Overall, of course, Rousseau's been our top guy, and let me give you some numbers there across the board here. So according to PFF, they've given Rousseau an 89.4. They've got him as the 7th best edge guy in the league. Oliver, 67.2. They've got him at the 31st best out of 116. They've got Von Miller. They're giving a 76.3. Got him as the 19th overall best edge. Now that's minus 4 games. Don't forget he missed 4 games. Benford and yeah, we're not talking about corners yet. Let me go to give you Epenesa because that's just the nickel package. Epenesa is one of the lowest rated guys. He is a 57.3. They've got him rated as the 84th out of 114 edge players. So are you surprised with Epenesa's score there? Do you agree with PFF?
With that, I would say no. I think, again, it's another year where he doesn't get consistent play time and he comes off the bench and has to make plays. I think, he's been really good at setting the edge. I think he's made some big plays, getting sacks and batted passes. I don't think he's, a top 10 edge rusher or anything, but I don't think he's bottom half of the league by far.
Yeah,
But
he definitely.
PFF did offense or defense. I was reading up a little bit, and I think they said they put a lot of stock into where they assume the correct play is. So they watch it and they're like, if they think, oh, Epinesa should have been in the A gap or the B gap or just any gap, whatever, and they thought, oh, he didn't go there and he went this way, they'll deduct points because they thought he was supposed to do something. So a lot of it could just be misunderstanding, for anybody really for grades. But they put a lot of stock into, right place, right time kind of thing. So Epinesa can make a tackle and it's a good play, but because he was out of position or, what they thought wasn't the right play, they would deduct points. So maybe they're a little bit off on that.
Yeah. Again, it's PFF, and it is a individual scoring this. They're watching the game, and you do question sometimes. I know you when we get to the offensive side of things, you're probably going to question one of the guys and one of the scores they've been given. But we'll get there soon. So Jessica and Trek Review and anyone else who watches this show later on in the rewatch, what are you scoring? What grade you give in that defensive line? Uh, Sean gave it a B minus. I gave it a B. And we're going to move on to the linebacker room right now, Sean. So give me your thoughts on linebackers and a grade for them.
Yeah, well, again, didn't have started the year without Milano, and that always stings because he's one of my favorite players and just such a great energy boost and just all around the field. He's like Bernard, only more seasoned in football. But Bernard's still being a superstar, making those big plays, baiting people in interceptions. He's always where the ball is, flying around, making tackles. Even Dorian Williams in his first year starting, leading the team in tackles. Sure, can't keep up with Xavier Worthy, but you don't expect a linebacker to do that. Um, but yeah, overall, I'd probably say an A, just because they're always making plays and they're aggressive. They're not waiting back for running backs to go up to them and waiting for the lead block to come to them. They're always aggressive and running into the blocks and making plays. So I'd probably give them an A.
Yeah, you know what, Sean, it's crazy because Bernard, he's just the leader of that defense and he makes plays. And this is a case where I'm gonna I'm scratching my head with PFF. They've given both Bernard and Dorian Williams 61 and 62. They think they're around the 56th and 51st out of what do they got? 82 linebackers. And I just disagree with that one completely. Bernard, to me, I mean, they're disrespecting him still. I know he's was he the third year guy? Um, they're still disrespecting him. Williams, of course, is not the greatest in coverage, but he's been spectacular. And the fact that this defense, that's one thing I forgot to mention. We're giving up 19.5 points per game, which is top 10 in that stat. So not too bad there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they played fantastic. And the window for Milano's been opened. And I'm thinking he's just pulled off our IR last week, and so he has 21 days. I'm thinking we might see him against the Niners in some capacity. I don't know if you've heard anything different.
Yeah, well, he's got till what is it, the 4th to be activated. So it'd be nice to see him by then.
Yeah, it would be great to see him in some capacity. Now, I think I've asked you this, but for the people watching the show here, what do you think is going to happen? And you think he's going to be used sparingly to start? I would think. Dorian Williams has done such a great job. You're just not going to throw Dorian to the bench and say, "All right, Matt." He's probably going to be on a limited snap count for a while. Do you agree?
Yeah, they'll figure out how to get them both on the field, and not that he's like Von Miller, but they're able to get production out of him in a limited role, and I'm sure they want uh, both of them on the field at some points, or all three of the linebackers, or just to ease Matt. He hasn't really played football since week 4 last year, so they'll probably definitely give him a snap count and put him in on situational plays.
Yeah, I like with Jessica saying he'll be used to start third and long. I mean, one of his specialties is one of the best pass coverage linebackers in the game. Of course, we won't know what version we get of him. It's going to take some time. It's not like you can plug him in and all of a sudden he's Matt Milano of 2 years ago. But it's nice, Sean, to be getting this guy back. Really good leader, one of the best linebackers when he's at his at full capacity. So it's going to be nice to have that depth piece. And man, it would be nice if they ever needed to throw 3 linebackers in. Can you imagine having all those 3 linebackers? Man,
Yeah, that'll be fun.
that'd be a lot of fun. So you gave them an A. I'm going to agree with the A. And let's see here. Trek Review is saying A for the defensive line, B minus for the linebackers. Spectre checks in down to, I'm not sure what he's saying now. Let me bring that up, see if you can decipher that. A minus for the D line, B minus for the linebacker, Spectre, Knox equals checks and down. I don't know. I don't know. Check review. You have to decipher that a little bit. All right, we haven't even got to the DBs and check reviewers throwing them out there, but let's see here. Jessica saying yes, Milano will be used to start third and long. Yeah, totally agree. She's given the linebackers a B plus, so I'm right there. We're both at an A, B plus. Terrell Bernard, my goodness, I think we missed. Did we miss Bernard at least one game this year? I think we missed at least one game, right? Yeah, we did because
Yeah,
Spectre
he
had the
didn't play
thing.
the. I don't think he played the Him and Teron Johnson didn't play the Ravens game.
Yeah, might have been 2 games he missed, but yeah, he's definitely when we missing him, you can tell. So all right, so cool stuff. Let's move on to the cornerbacks here, and let me just give you some numbers for the cornerbacks. I think I told you that already. We are 14th in passing yards per game, giving up 210 per game. Sean, so talk to me about the cornerbacks and your grade for them.
Yeah, with Taryn and Douglas and Benford, they're all in the system we have. Oftentimes it gets frustrating because we play kind of soft at times or play off coverage and let them have anything in front of them. So it looks like, oh man, like these guys are just beating the crap out of our corners. But that's just how we run our defense. Even with that, especially guys like TJ and Benford, they make huge plays. Like that one play that me and Jake thought Hopkins caught it at a pivotal point in the game because Benford looked like he got beat, but he was watching the ball when it went into his hands and he punched it out. Luckily, and it was a huge, massive. It would have been like a 35-yard catch. So making plays like that, you don't always have to get picks, but he's in position, and then when Lewis has to come in, I don't know if you count him as a D-back, the corner or whatever. I guess we'll talk about him either way. He's got over 50 tackles, and you wouldn't really assume that because of his limited role. But these guys are willing to tackle, and they play pretty good in coverage. Douglas, even though he's a little bit on the older side, looks like he's still playing pretty good and had some opportunities for interceptions, but dropped them. But overall, I'd probably give them a B plus.
Nice, I like that. So Benford is, again, I'm using PFF, some numbers here for their scores. And they give him Benford a 78. They rate him as our top corner, and he's ninth out of 112 cornerbacks. And he's been playing like that. I really thought Elam would shine right this year, and he just hasn't had an opportunity because Benford's been playing well. He hasn't been injured. And then you got Rasul Douglas. They give him a 66.1 score. They got him at 51 out of 112 corners. Taron
Right.
Johnson, this was a little bit of a head scratcher. I think TJ should get a better score, but they got him at a 65.8, our slot corner. And, TJ, give him a lot of credit, man. That dude is, again, one of the best slot corners, but he's plays the run. He's a physical guy, and he's not that big, Sean. He's not that big at all, but dude, he plays so physical. So yeah, the corners for me, I'm just not worried that any team's going to be able to throw all over us. And like you said, sometimes it looks like maybe we're leaving a guy wide open or so, but that's just the scheme we're playing. And I don't think it's the cornerback that might be making that mistake when that happens. Might be the safeties. But what did you say? Did you give them a B?
B plus.
B plus. I'm going to. I'm going to go with. I'm going to give him an A. I'm giving him A because, like I said, Benford's been elite. Douglas, like, dude, not only is good on coverage, but his run stop ability has been insane. I mean, he's always making a big play in a running game or in a running play for a loss. So, and then Taron Johnson's always been one of my favorites. I just think he's just a difference maker. And didn't he have? Was he the one with the pick six recently? I think so. I think he had a pick
Yeah.
six
Yep.
in one of the
That was against
last
the
2 games.
Colts.
Yeah. So he always shows up when we need him. So yeah, I'm gonna give him an A. Look, looks like we're being homers, but dude, this team's 9-2. It's hard to like even score anyone below a B, right?
Yeah, I don't think any group would be
No, Not at all.
And if there was, it'd probably be like a C plus, but I can't. As of right now, I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Jessica says, and when she's given the corners an A when you can hold Mahomes to under 200 yards. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
yeah, we're only giving up 210 per game, and lately it's been phenomenal as far as the pass defense goes. So, all right, good stuff there. Let's get to the safeties. We got Rapp and Hamlin. So, give me your thoughts on them and give me your grade, sir.
Yeah, a lot of people, out of the fan base and in the fan base were concerned, and probably us a little bit too, mainly because Rapp was a role player for us last year, but he started on the Super Bowl team, so we knew he had talent. But again, he seemed like a guy where the more he played last year, the better he got. So a little bit concerning because you're like, okay, now he's actually starting. DeMar is starting for the first time since he got hurt. What's that position going to look like? Probably the weakest position on the team, even still. But they've been really good. I mean, Taylor Rapp's got a couple picks. He hits harder than anybody on the team. He stopped probably 3 or 4 touchdowns that could have changed the game. Hamlin, yeah, he takes bad angles sometimes, but he's not afraid to tackle anybody. He's been he makes big hits. He's fast to the ball carrier, and he's always in the position that he needs to be, where he gets a couple picks, and they're not, again, they're not superstars, but they're good enough to help us win football games. And I was pleased with how they've been playing. So I'd still give them a B, just because I do think they're the weakest out of the defense. But again, this defense has been pretty stellar, this entire year, even with injuries and new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I don't know about you, but I think we were all a little shocked that Hamlin got the start. We thought Cole Bishop might make a run for it, and as a rookie, we had Mike was it Mike Edwards? As
Yeah.
safety, it was Mike Edwards, who is now went on to another team, got released from that team. So that looks like that was a good move by the Bills. Not sure what's going on with him now, but yeah, Hamlin. It's just a great thing to see after all that he's been through. And of the two safeties, I do think he's probably the weakest, but that's not to say that he's far behind Rap. I think the only thing I can say is that he takes some bad angles on run support sometimes, but he's continuing to get better, and yeah, I agree with you. Rap is just, man, he's exceeded what I expected from this year. Just
Oh,
exceeded.
absolutely.
Yeah, so fantastic. I'm with you on that one. I give him a B. And Jessica says, yeah, 4 interceptions, and true. I think Hamlin's had two, and
Yeah.
I think Rap's had two. So
Yeah. Yeah.
great
They've
job
been
by them.
they've been nice, and Hamlin's the free agent. We're not really talking free agents anytime soon, but maybe they just wanted to put Cooper on the shelf, and you know not Cooper, but Bishop.
Yeah,
Keep Bishop on the shelf and let him learn, because he's very talented. He's got the speed. He's also a hard
yeah,
hitter and great in the run. So he's definitely going to be an asset next year. And I'm sure Hamlin, if he doesn't resign with us, he's gonna get a contract somewhere else for sure. So, but
100%.
if we bring him back, you bring him back, and then you got good depth somewhere. But yeah, overall, very satisfied with them.
Yeah. All right, awesome. So let's move on to the offensive side of things, and let's start with your favorite O line. You're one of the few that I see. I mean, maybe the only one who does a week by week analysis on that O line. You watch the film again. You go over, you compare it to what PFF says and what PFR says, and nobody knows the offensive line better than you. Now, let me just give you some numbers. Actually, no, I'll wait for that. Go ahead and give me your assessment of that O line and your grade. I kind of have an idea what you're going to say, but let's see.
Well, it's definitely an A for sure. They continue every week to get better, even better than last year. And you prove you miss your starting right tackle, then the backup goes in, only allows two, according to PFF, two pressures on the entire day. And watching that Chiefs game, especially, you could, with Karloftis and Dana and Chris Jones. not getting any sacks and not really controlling the game or wrecking the game like they could. That just goes to show how good this unit is. And a lot of it makes me upset because a lot of people go, well, Josh is mobile, so it skews their stats, and it really doesn't, because when you watch, and the last 2 years at least, and when you look at the sack total, over half the sacks that Josh has is because he runs into him or because he holds the ball too long. And that's the one thing I like about PFF is they differentiate what's a sack accredited to an O lineman and what's not. And last year, Josh was the least sacked quarterback, and right now he's the least sacked quarterback. And you can say, oh, it's because he moves well, but at the same time, most of the times he gets sacked is because he's moving, not paying attention to the pocket. So I think they've been outstanding, and in the run game, they're really good as well. And they just love to be physical. They take a lot of pride, and besides Brown, they're all starting every game, and health is an important part of it all. And God willing, they've been healthy for the last couple of years, and I think they're only going to get better every week.
Yeah, just to give you some stats for the offense, Buffalo, the Bills, score a touchdown 63.83% of the time they're in the red zone. That's good for number 6 overall in the league. And then as far as yards per game, it's we're actually down. You'd be surprised, 3, 4, 6. We're about 12th on that list there. We average 345.3 yards per game. But guess what, Sean? Guess what? We are number 3 in points per game. So it's kind of interesting. Like I said, the offense and defense, if you look at their stats overall, we're kind of in the middle of the pack. But that turnover differential is huge. And the Bills have just been very efficient. And because of those turnovers, you do work with shorter fields, but we've been on some long drives as well. So it's again, I was kind of surprised. I'm looking at, man, we're in the middle of the pack. You would think not, but we are, and we are scoring the 3rd overall best scoring team. Number 1 is Detroit. Number 2 is Baltimore, and guess what? They're barely ahead of us. They're 30.4 points per game, and we're 29.1. So pretty awesome stuff. And I have to agree with you on the offensive line. I say A plus, A plus. Basically, I get to see them every week because I help you edit your film,
Yeah.
and it just I just go to you. You're the go-to guy when it comes to that offensive line, and nobody knows that O line better than you. Now I know you had some concerns coming into the season. It's kind of crazy how things turned out, right?
Yeah, for sure.
McGovern's been stellar, Sean. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at, let me give you some information from PFF, at least from PFF, and this is where I had a question for you because it's a head scratcher to me. So Dawkins graded a 71.4. He's always one of the best out there. They got him as the 28th best out of 77. David Edwards, 60.8 at left guard. They got McGovern at 71.6. They got him as the 8th best center in the league. I'll go to Brown, Spencer Brown, 67.9. They got him at 38 out of 77. Here's the one that is a head scratcher, and I want to get your honest opinion of what you've seen. Torrance is only a 54.7. He's a lowest graded PFF guy across the line. Do you agree with that? Is that what you've been seeing in your film reviews?
Uh, well, it's hard to say because I don't think any of them should be that low, because you see the play, and then like Torrance, he had an outstanding pass blocking day, and they only gave him a 69. And then you're just like, what does this guy have to do? He was one on one with Chris Jones majority of the game and maybe lost twice, and they only give him 69. And then his overall grade would be like a 20. So it's like 69 pass blocking, 67, 65 or 62 run blocking, but his overall grade's a 40. So I don't know. I don't know what the PFF. I mean, they were like that last year too with PFF. They were. It's funny because their individual grades, they always give them bad scores. So not always, but majority of the time. But then when they talk about overall offensive line, they're like, "Oh yeah, they're a top 5 unit. They're a top this or top that." And it's like, well, if you say they're top this, how can you keep giving them poor scores on certain games? But yeah, I think out of all 5, maybe he's been maybe Edwards though. I think I think Torrance has had bigger bright spots. Obviously, he's a younger guy, but I think between him and Edwards, they're probably the weakest of the five. But again, being weak on a strong team isn't necessarily a bad thing. Um, so yeah, I don't think he's that low at 54. You said
Yeah.
overall, I don't think that's what his score is, but probably out of the five, he might be, you know, the weaker five, but he's still strong. You know, like I
Yep.
said, having a great five, someone's going to be the weakest, right? And if they're all good, it's okay. It's not like he's god awful like Saffold was, you know, and
Yep.
it was very noticeable. So yeah, I'm still proud of Torrance. You know, again, God willing and knocking on wood, he played 19 games straight last year, and he played 11 games straight this year. Never missed a snap. So that's very incredible. And you know, he plays at a heavy body weight, and he's still athletic and fast and strong. And I'm looking forward to how he keeps growing. But yeah, to your point, I was worried about, you know, Edwards being at a left guard starting, and a little. It wasn't that I was worried that McGovern couldn't play center. I just thought he wasn't going to be a better center than left guard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he seemed in the beginning it was a little bit like, oh wow, you know, they're not loving him on PFF. You know, he was really he was really poor pass blocking grade, not so much on the film, but PFF gave him bad scores in the first few weeks, and then ever since then he's been pretty solid, and very happy with how he's played. And even David Edwards surprised me a little bit. I was worried. I thought he was done being a starter, and I still don't think he's the future at the position. I still think we need to at least draft a left guard next year and have him learn behind Edwards this coming year, and then after this next year, get rid of Edwards. But overall, man, I mean, this line is just continuously gets better. Aaron Cromer has done a fantastic job. Brown's play keeps elevating. You know, McGovern's playing fantastic. Torrance is getting better each week, and then Dawkins is Dawkins. You know, the only thing is just the penalties. That's why I didn't give him an A plus is because of those penalties. But play wise, can't ask for more.
Yeah.
Considering we had such bad line up until last year, that's why I was really wanting to start doing the film for it because people had like PTSD from the years past of how bad they were. And every game they'd be like, "Oh yeah, they were bad. They didn't do this. They didn't do that." And I'm like, "That's not what I'm seeing. I mean, I'm not the best in the world, but let's deep dive into it." And you know, and every week, I'm as fair as possible. I'm not trying to be a homer on. You know, you watch them. I'm not trying to be
Yeah.
a homer on giving them better stats or anything. I'm very fair, and I think every week I'm just thoroughly impressed.
Yeah. 100%. And I strongly agree with how PFF has graded both Torrance and Edwards to some degree, especially Torrance. So, again, PFF's just a tool. There's times where real head scratchers, and I'm gonna say that's a bad call right there. And that Torrance should be well over 60, in my opinion, at least over 60. So, based on the scores and compares to other teams. So yeah, O line, amazing, amazing. So all right, let's go on to the and good point here by Jessica. The Bills have quality starter level backups at O line. Like Ryan Vandermark stepped in for Spencer Brown, and dude didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat against a top Chiefs defense. Man, it was incredible. I haven't seen a score. I can probably get a score while you're talking. I'll try to pull that up. But what PFF did grade him. But man, I mean, there hasn't been a lot of other old linemen who've gotten a chance, right? Because this
No.
whole line is just they stay healthy and yeah, so pretty
Well, let me
impressed.
tell you, I could tell you his scores now. I just got to get to my
Okay.
notebook because I did them for the show. They had him as a 59.4 overall, 53.3 pass blocking, and 62 run blocking, with
Mm,
only giving up two pressures. So that's the thing. You gave him a 53 in pass blocking, but he only gave up two total pressures. So I don't understand how that's not at least mid 60s, low 70s. That seems pretty good to me.
yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I don't know. So that's the thing. It's weird, but I thought, you know, for being in person too and watching, just played absolutely outstanding. I was nervous about it too because, you know, he's not like a rookie, but it was his first true start, and it was in the biggest game of the year against one of the best defenses and the defensive fronts and defensive coaches. and him and Torrance had a good connection still, and it was just a great job.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, like you just said, I was extremely concerned. But like I said, he didn't miss a beat. So let's see. Yeah, she mentions Tylen Grable was on our IR. I think that was our rookie
Yeah.
lineman that we drafted this year, right?
Yep, from
Um,
UCF in the 6th round. He actually won the swing tackle job over Vandermark, but then he got hurt, and then Vandermark got the position back. So yeah, I mean he's probably going to be something good too. And Vandermark's a unrestricted free agent, I believe. So who knows what's going to happen with him? But yeah, if he doesn't stay, Grable was going to win the job anyway, so he's going to be a solid backup. But it's good to, like Jess said, it's good to have that.
yeah,
And we've had in the past, I wish we drafted a guy like Cedric Van Pran when we had Mitch Morse still. So then when he's gone, you plug him right in. And right now, I don't think we have a left guard that is the future yet. And I think Edwards has one more year left, and I think he's 30. But if you want to keep, and Dawkins is actually 32, not 32, but 30 as well. But if you want to draft a left guard this year and keep Edwards for that final year, you get the guy ready, and then when Edwards it goes on his way and we thank him for his service and hopefully with a Super Bowl ring or two, then the guy we drafted gets to step in, and then we're not missing a beat on the line again. So that's what I hope. That's what I
yeah,
hope. But we'll see.
yeah. This year more than ever, I do feel like I don't want our line to be injured or out, but I feel a little better than years past. If some injury happens, I feel like we'll be okay for a short while. I don't want them to be out for any long periods of time, but yeah, like Jessica said, the depth there is one of the best we've had in years. So let's move on to the tight ends. The DK brothers, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. Let me throw it to you for your take on that position group, and give me your grade for them.
It's hard to say because I don't know if I should put expectations we had on Kincaid and make that lose points, because I don't know that I don't think they're necessarily playing bad, but we expected real big production out of him, and Knox didn't really do much in the beginning, but at the end of the day, I wish there was an in between for a C plus and a B minus, because even though
You
they're
can make
not
that.
like even though they're not getting like you know 10 catches a game, when they're not catching the ball, they're still doing the dirty work, trying to run block and block downfield. And Quentin Morris always has a one crazy catch of the year for him and makes a touchdown. And they're still somewhat productive. And Kincaid's been hurt. You missed him for last week. Eh, I mean, if you give him a C plus, I'll give him a C plus. But if you don't, then I can say B. I wouldn't be mad at a B minus either, because I think they're still producing. Just we expected a lot more, so maybe that kind of skews the grade a little bit. But I mean, they're not losing his football games and dropping passes and dropping touchdowns. So
Yep, I agree with that. I think, yeah, we had high expectations for Knox because you're like, man, we don't really have these elite receivers. But as a group and as everyone eats, Kincaid's numbers hasn't been what we expected, right? He's currently has, let's see here. Let me give you the targets. He's got 59 targets, 34 receptions. This is in 10 games, by the way, for 356 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns, and his catch percentage is 57.6. So does seem a little bit low, but I think it's how they've been utilizing him, and he is averaging, believe it or not, almost 6 targets a game if you take that, consider that he missed a game. But the numbers are definitely lower. The yardage definitely lower than we expected. But like you said, they're not costing us any games. Knox is, blocking. That O line also gets help from these tight ends. Not so much Kincaid, but Knox for sure, helping on
yeah,
when they need to give a little help on these elite guys who might be going
yeah,
up against on the line. So I'm
yeah. It's
gonna,
fun. It's funny because
yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say and you notice that when I do the film breakdown, because there's some plays where you're like, wow, the line did incredible, and then like Kincaid's in there trying to block and he gets beat, and then they tackle the running back for no gain, and you're like, man, if Knox was in there, maybe it would have been better. But oftentimes him and Knox and Morris do an excellent job. And then technically you would have to consider Anderson as a tight end because that's where he's used at, and he blocks well, obviously. So they definitely contribute into the success of the run game.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give them.
We going C plus.
I'm going to go C plus, and because I'm not going to blame them if we're not using them in the passing game, which we should. I can't blame them, and so I'm giving them a C plus, only because again, it's not on Kincaid totally, but definitely expected more from him. And Knox, I mean, Knox has been Knox. I mean, he hasn't disappointed, right? So I don't know. I'm gonna take it to a B. I'm gonna take it to a B. I'm not blaming them for their stats.
Yeah, and a couple times Josh missed Kincaid and could have had better stats, but
Yeah.
there's still a lot of time left, and I think they've done a lot of good things, and they're not one dimensional. And like to me, the reason why I always say Kelce isn't the best tight end ever is because he doesn't play tight end; he plays receiver. When I say tight end, I mean blocks, catches, chips, and does everything a tight end, like Gronk. That's why I think Gronk is the best because he did everything, or like Antonio Gates did everything. And no, obviously Kelsey's still one of the best at the position, but I'll never consider him the greatest just because he's used more as a downfield receiver threat than getting dirty, putting his hand in the dirt. But that's just how I look at tight end. I had to
All
play
right.
it for 1 year, so I have a little. That was just always my thought. We got to do the dirty work and we got to do the fun stuff.
All right. Jessica gives them a C. I give them a B. And what was your grade?
Well, I said I'll go C plus or B minus, whichever
All
one
right.
you would pick. So I wouldn't be mad at either. But I'll just say C plus just because
All right.
I
So you
think
get
I think
that's that
I
C.
think that's fair.
Yeah, C plus and then B. All right, awesome. Let's move on. By the way, if you're out there on the channel, please take a second, smash that like button. If you're new and you're listening to us, drop a nickel on the subscribe button. Hopefully, you like what you're hearing. We've been doing this now for 4 years. Believe it or not, Sean, over 4 years, Nickel City Mafia has been around. And I know you've been doing your podcast on Red, White, and Bills pretty much the same time, 4 years as well. So a lot of good stuff. We're going to talk about our holiday spectacular coming up in December, but we'll talk about that at the end of the game. So again, if you're new, please smash that like. Even if you're not new, smash that like. But if you're new, drop a nickel for sure. It's free. It's free, and I promise you, it's a fun channel. Keep it PG-13, so you can watch it with your family most of the time and enjoy it.
Right.
All right, let's. What's that, Sean?
I said right.
Yeah. Let's move on to the wide receiver room. Here's a group, a lot of questions and marks coming into the season, right? You lose your number one and number two. And really, Khalil Shakir, who we did have high expectation, and he's living up to them. But he was really the only guy. He was the only receiver that had caught a pass from Josh Allen going into the season. So talk to me about what you've seen from them and what kind of grade you're going to give them.
Yeah, nothing I didn't expect. And, Shakir missed one game, I believe, just one. And I think he's only a couple yards away from what he had last year. So he's definitely going to exceed expectation. Coleman, he was hard to read as, what's his going to be a stat line. I don't even remember what we thought it would be. But, he's really came to form before he got injured. Of course, he had a couple really good games in a row. And then now he gets slowed up with an injury. So we'll see how he is when he comes back. But him and Josh have a great connection now. They're hitting those back shoulder throws that you would think, oh, they can only hit those if they've been together for years, and just crazy jump balls. And I think even next year, and then even by year 3 with this group, it'll be something special. And then Mac Hollins, just a once in a while kind of guy, makes plays when you need him, makes big first down catches, just a very physical guy, amazing and he's a great blocker. And they use that for Gabe Davis, like, oh, he's great at blocking even though he gets 0 catches. But Matt Collins is actually like like a real good blocker. And then, of course, I think he is tied for the lead in touchdowns for the team with 3. And he had the first touchdown of the season for passing. And, Samuel a little bit disappointed. Everyone, no, not me, but a lot of people expected production from Carolina. And you know how I am. I'm like, I don't know. It's a different team. You got to let him do it first. And it really has been underwhelming. But the last couple games, he's been performing more. So is that just because we're, focusing on everybody eats, or just because he was battling that injury, but he's been hurt since camp. So I don't know if I really buy into that too much. But maybe now that the bye's over, he'll get more involved. But overall, I'd probably say B minus, considering, because none of them are really superstars, right? But we're making it work, and we have the best record we've ever had in the last 30 years. So I think they're doing a good job. And Shakir is definitely special, and it's nice to see him continue to grow.
Yeah, pinball, as I like to call him, is he just yards after catch. He's one of the top guys in that. Just seems to bounce off of defenders and keep going forward.
Yeah.
So he had 611 yards last year. He's already at 600 yards, and he's missed a game. So through 10 games, he's averaging about 60 yards a game. Now, if you multiply that by 6 remaining games, what is that? 360 yards. Am I doing that right? Yeah, 360 yards. He's going to be right under 1,000 if he kept up that pace. He's got a shot at 1,000.
He does, yeah, he does. And Coleman was getting close to that, but then it's like, oh, you missed a couple games. Now you're probably out of that. And Cooper, even if you counted his Browns total, he missed a couple games with us, and one of the games he only got 2 targets. So I don't know if he's going to have gaudy numbers by the end, but just having him, hopefully he's healthy by now. He's been great too, and I hope we keep a guy like him, because then you can really do some, maybe sign him for a 2 to 3 year deal. And you got Cooper, you got Shakir, who you're going to re-sign maybe after next year, and then Coleman, your 2 young guys, and then Cooper. You still would draft another one, and then you keep Mack Hollins. So if you could keep Mack Hollins, Cooper, Shakir, Coleman, draft another guy, you got your 5, and then you got some decent depth probably at that point. And I like that idea. I think especially Coleman and Shakir, they're going to be 2 guys you can keep for a long time. And Shakir's not going to be like a $30 million receiver by any means. He's going to get a contract, but he's not going to be like Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase or anything. So I think we can eventually have them both.
Yeah, so I agree. So Jessica, solid B plus when you take into account the blocking. Yes, I love that. All right, let me ask you, and the channel as well. Khalil Shakir's got a shot for 1,000. He's got a shot. He's got to up those numbers just a little bit in the final 6 games. I'm going to say he goes over 1,000. What are you saying, Sean? What do you think?
I don't know. 6 games left. We might not need to play the last game.
Yeah, that's going to hurt it. Yeah.
Either way, because if we're locked into the 2 or the 1 or the 3, we're not going to play anybody the last week. I mean, maybe you play them a little bit, because if you do get the 1 seed, you don't want to have 2 buys in a row. You know what I mean? So they might play him for a quarter or 2, but we have to assume that we might not use majority of the starters in the last week. We might not, if we're not playing for anything, if the seeding's locked up. So I'd probably say no, just because I don't know about that. I think we're in a position now, but if we keep winning, if we're 14-2 in week 18, and the Chiefs are 14 or 15-1, you're going to have to play that game, because if the Chiefs lose, then you get the 1 seed. So it'll be close. I'd say probably between 900 and 1,075.
You scared me a little bit. You have a good point there that we might have the AFC East wrapped up, but we won't have the seeding wrapped up. So I think because of that, I could still see this being meaningful and him playing those final 6 games. So I'm still going to stick with that.
Yeah, he might. But what I mean is, like,
I hear
you might even have the 2 seed wrapped up. So
true. If you do, yes.
If you got 1 game left and you're up by 2 games from the 3 seed, but you can't, maybe we lost a game, right? And Kansas City only has 1 loss and there's 1 game left. we'll probably rest the people because we're guaranteed the 2 seed, and then you don't get a bye, so they'll definitely probably rest starters. So I mean, there's opportunity to, you know, I think we still, I think we'll be playing for the 1 seed in week 18 still. So I think you have a good chance at that if you wanted to put money on it. But there's also just that thought of, things might be locked up and they might want to rest guys.
I'm going to see what the odds are for that. Might drop a little bit on there. Jessica, I value your opinion a lot. What do you think? Shakir, over a
I
thousand
hope so. I would.
or
I would
not?
love. I would love. Here's what I would love. I would love
Yeah.
for them to play all the games because I still want Josh to get his 40. He needs to have a couple. Basically have two and a half touchdowns the rest of the year every game. So I still want him to get his 40. I'd like to see Shakir get his 1,000, and other people get accolades as well. But if they're sitting out that final week, they might not get it. So I hope we're playing for the 1 seed the week 18. We win, we get the 1 seed, and then we rest anyway with the bye, and then everything works out.
I just need him to have a couple monster games, like 120, 130-yard games, right?
Yeah, it's really all you need because
Yeah,
if you have a couple 100-yard games, you're already at 800 something.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think it's definitely possible,
yeah.
especially in these next coming games where you got San Fran, you got Detroit, and you got the Rams. You're probably gonna have to put up points, and I think he has the opportunity.
All right, awesome. So I'm agreeing with Jessica. I'm going to give them a B plus when you include their blocking, and you gave them a B. I'm sorry, I forgot. B.
Yeah, I think it was B.
Okay.
Oh,
All
if
right.
I didn't say B, then I meant B because I think, especially with Cooper now, I think they're coming along as a unit, and again, if it's not one, it's the other doing something, and Samuel's even picking it up a little bit, and again, I like Mac Hollins, so I wouldn't be mad at a B.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel finally showed up last week. Hopefully, we see more of that. I love Mac Hollins. I mean, Mac Hollins. There was a period of time where like, why are we treating him like a number one? And I can understand why people are saying that, and I was saying that too. But the dude, I mean, he's such a good guy. Great, you know, keeps the team high as
Yeah,
far as team spirit or whatever you want to call it. But he
and he
makes a
gets
play.
open.
Like, yeah, 1 to 3 times a game, he makes a critical play. Critical play. He's a great
Yeah,
blocker. Big guy, 6'4". Um, man, I'll tell you what, if he could play with no cleats on the field, he'd probably do it.
yeah, and he's. I'm pretty sure he's already beaten what he did last year in Atlanta. But I think if you can bring him back for another 1 year deal next year, he's a good special teamer, a solid wide receiver 5. You draft another one, and maybe you keep Samuel still, and then you got 6. But I'm really happy with how he's been because, like you said, yeah, he's not a number one, but when we were focusing on him like he was because he was the only one getting open,
Yeah,
and granted, at least one time, Josh missed him for a wide open touchdown. So he should be leading the team in touchdowns and probably have like 50 or 60 more yards at the minimum and at least one more touchdown. And I think he's going to make some big plays for us down the stretch and pretty happy with how he's been. And again, he's not a superstar, but he's a good wide receiver 4.
yeah. I think Keaton Coleman, our rookie receiver this year, he should be coming back soon. Josh Allen already trusts that guy. He trusts that rookie. I expect bigger things from him in these last final games that he's going to be playing. And of course, the addition of Amari Cooper makes everyone better. And it's amazing that he's played 2 games for us. So he'll have another week with, I think he missed a game. So he's been with, this will be his 4th week, getting familiar with that offense, and things are only going to get better. He's made some big plays early on. And again, he's kind of like that Diggs last year where he frees up the other wide receivers because the defense has to pay attention to him. And he's that big play guy for us. So I'm excited about what these final 6 games are going to be bringing with that wide receiver group. Let's move on to the running backs, sir. Talk to me. I mean, we got a 3-headed monster there. Ray Davis, James Cook, and Ty Johnson. Been fantastic. But so talk to me about them. What you think, and give me a grade as a whole. That group.
Yeah, they're probably an A as well. They all can catch. Two of them are really good at blocking, and Cook isn't horrible, but you could tell the difference in those 3. and then all three of them can run hard, and they all have a different skill set. I would say definitely an A. And I I jokingly kind of said it to, I don't know if it was you or another friend. I'm like, the Ravens and the Bengals, they make sure their quarterbacks get all these touchdowns, but when we have Josh Allen drive the entire field with passing, and then we always hand the ball off and let the running back score. And I'm just like, we don't pay running backs, so we're letting Cook get 15 touchdowns just so we don't pay him. And we're pricing ourselves out of them. Cause I mean, we might sign them, but we haven't. Recently we haven't signed any running backs that we drafted, and I think this is a time where you probably should sign the guy you drafted because he's been getting better each year. He's already got 11 rushing touchdowns. I'm pretty sure at least 10 rushing. It
He's
might
got
be
10.
okay. Then he's got a receiving touchdown then too, but at least one. He might have two of those. But yeah, he's been solid. He runs very hard now. Like I didn't expect. Like we didn't really see much of that last year, and now he's just lowering his shoulder into people, and like he's Dalvin. And again, just pretty happy with what he's been doing and getting better each year. I'd love to re-sign him, but hearing how Joe Shane talked about Saquon, you always stop and think, I wonder where he got that idea from. The guy he's been shadowing for his last few years. Why am I paying a quarterback this many millions to hand it off to a this many million running back? So I kind of have a feeling he got that from Brandon Beane. So I don't know what we're gonna do with Cook, but even Ray Davis has been pretty solid this year, and Ty Johnson's just a fantastic. Really could do anything back, especially having him as your third string. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's very much similar to Khalil Shakir. He's got at 600 yards, 596 to be exact, through 10 games. He's averaging about 60 yards. So for him to hit 1,000 yards, he's going to have some big games. And he had 1,122 rushing yards last year. He's already got 10 rushing touchdowns. He only had 2 last year. I know you
Yeah.
don't like that because he keeps stealing Josh Allen's touchdowns, but and he's got 1 receiving touchdown on the year. He's got a total of 11 touchdowns, so you're right on the number.
Yep.
But dude, he's gonna get he's gonna be someone's gonna want to pay him a lot of money. So I'm gonna throw this question to you from Jessica. Do you think Cook will hold out next season for a contract?
I don't think he'd hold out. He's in year 3. They're probably going to talk about his deal. He might hold out. I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but I just personally don't think he will. Um, Granted, we don't have to give him a deal because he's still on his rookie contract, so we'll see. But maybe miss the non-voluntary camp. We'll see. But I think if you're in talks with him already and you kind of have an idea what you want, I don't think he'll. I don't think he'll sit out. But we might be pricing ourselves, and that's the other thing too. You let him get all these touchdowns, he's going to bring that to the table. Oh, I scored 17 rushing touchdowns this year. You want to pay me $8 million a year? What the heck is that? You got to pay me 15. And then we're going to say, oh, we can't do it. Sorry, and then he's going to leave. So, and then you look at like the Eagles. Say they do the opposite of what we do. Saquon gets them all the way down to the 1 somehow at the 1 every time, and then they let Jalen Hurts run it in and get rewarded for Saquon's work. So I wish we did that a little bit more because I always want my quarterback to be successful. And Cook could still have a lot of touchdowns, but give a couple to Josh once in a while. But yeah, I mean, my main thought was, man, he's gonna price himself out because we still have a lot of people we got to sign, and I can't remember the last time we signed a running back we drafted. Can you?
No, but I hope so. I don't think he'll hold out, Jessica. My hope is that the Bills will make a deal during next season. They won't wait till the end of the year. I think this is a guy that I know Ray Davis looks good. He's had some opportunities when I think Cook missed that one game. He shined, but he's I haven't seen a lot of flash from Ray lately. So I would hope that they sign him, and he's gonna demand a pretty penny. But supposedly we set ourselves up pretty well with the cap going into next year. So we'll see. I know, Jessica, you're
Yeah.
the accountant on this team here. Do you think we can sign him for next year for, I don't know what he commands, but I think we
Yeah.
can we
We'll
can we can
see.
pay him.
It's
Yeah.
We should be able to, and again, you have that 1 year left on his deal. So if you extend him for 3, you can spread money out for 4 because you have the extra year on the extension, and plus the 3 years. And I think because you don't have to pay Greg Rousseau next year because he's already got his 5th year option, so you don't have to do him right away. And you can stagger these young players. Like you got to get Benford, you got to get Bernard, you got to get Shakir, and you could stagger them. 1 this year, 2 next year, however you want to do it, and still be able to re-sign everybody and not really put yourself in a hole. And we still got to get Josh redone next year too. So it'll be interesting, but this is why we got rid of Diggs and took the hit now. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm hate thinking about that because man, I love this team. Like, this is probably my favorite team,
Yeah.
and I don't want to see anybody really leave it. But it's going to happen. Every team is different.
Yeah, I know. She says Cook is one of the last priorities, according to her. So we'll see. Yeah, there's I mean, like you said, John, love this team. It'd be sad to lose any of these players that we talked about. But hey, we don't have to worry about that yet. So let's go get the big W this year in the bowl and roll it back next year for our two-peat. And then we'll worry about all those contracts, right? Then we'll worry about all those contracts.
Yeah, and to that point too, like Jess said, it's probably last priority. Maybe not just because that's how they think about running backs, but again, regardless of what he wants, he's got his last year to play anyway. So It doesn't matter if we pay him or not; he has to play because Jamar Chase is in that situation right now. He didn't get the paycheck he wanted, but he still has to play, or he doesn't get paid at all. So because he has money due, so we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. So A for me, A for Jessica, and you said A as well. So A's all around for the running back room. Now let's move to the quarterback. MVP candidate, Mr. Josh Allen. Talk to me about Josh, and I know what you're going to grade him, but let's go through it anyway.
Yeah, definitely A+. The biggest thing about him is he took that leap of, you grew with having elite weapons around you, but now you're able to make people elite around you, and not a lot of quarterbacks can do that. And him and the guys like Lamar Jackson have proven to be able to do more with less. Whereas you have Joe Burrow, who's always had the best talent around him at LSU. He's had the best talent around him in Cincinnati, and he still can't do better than guys like Allen and Lamar. And even Mahomes, somewhat a little bit now, has done more with way more with less. And you see guys like Jalen Hurts and Tua and Burrow have 2 elite receivers that get paid $30 million a year, or are that type of receiver, and they don't get the same things done as our guy does. But the biggest maturity of him was taking the risky plays, but then minimizing them as well. So he still takes deep shots, but he's very calculative and the kind of decisions he makes. And that was if he did that years ago, who knows how many MVPs and Super Bowls he'd have by now. But he's done it, and now he's a true general where he's the best player on the field. He might not have 4 touchdowns in a game, but every play that he makes is going to be important to the win. And last week against the Chiefs, I looked at Jake when it was 3rd and 9 with 5 minutes left. I said, this is the biggest play of the game. And then he hits Shakir on 3rd and 9, gets 10 yards. And then, because if you miss that, you're not in field goal range, even if you wanted to kick a field goal. You had a punt. And then you give Patrick Mahomes the ball back. You probably get it back, but you might not with 5 minutes left. So he gets it. And then the sequence happens how it does. 4th and 2. Not only does he get the 2, but he gets a touchdown, puts him up 9 with 2 minutes left. Now, could the Chiefs still have won the game? Yeah, probably. But that was another massive play that MVPs make and elite quarterbacks make. And he finished the day with 2 total touchdowns. And that's not 300 total yards, 2 total touchdowns. That's not 6 touchdowns in a game, or 5 touchdown games with perfect passer ratings. But everything he does is elite, it seems. And he had a couple of bad games, but everybody does. And it's how you respond to those bad games. And I think mentally, he's in the perfect headspace, and he understands. You're in year 7. you have to be the true leader on the team and make people better. And I think that his numbers, passing and all that maybe have went down a little bit, but still 23 total touchdowns, 5 picks. That's still outstanding. And a couple big games here and there, you can have another 40 touchdown year.
Yeah, let me throw out some numbers because it might surprise you. So when we're talking MVP, the top quarterback rating in the league, who do you think that goes to right now?
Probably Joe Burrow.
It's actually Lamar Jackson at 117. Josh falls at number 13 with a 98.2 quarterback
Mm,
rating. QBR, which is the ESPN rating, Josh is number 4. That's where Burrow is number 1. And again, I heavily weight this one more because it takes into account more things than the old quarterback rating. So Joe
yeah.
Burrow's at a 76.1. The most you can get is 100 in the QBR rating. Kyler Murray is at 75. Lamar Jackson still slightly ahead of Josh at 74.8. And of course, Josh Allen at 72.7. You had some good thoughts. Like for instance, at right now, you just looked at those stats that I just mentioned. Probably say Lamar's going to get his third MVP. But you were thinking like, hey, they've got 4 losses. If they're a 6 seed, you can't give it to a 6 seed. So give me your opinion on the
Yeah.
MVP race.
Well, it, they know they can't give it to Lamar because they know they only gave it to him last year because their reasoning was, oh, he's the best player on the best team, right? And as you remember, Allen had probably 1,000 more. I wrote it down, but I think he had almost 1,000 total yards more than Lamar, and he had 15 more touchdowns than Lamar. And the touchdown to turnover ratio was exactly the same. And Allen only got one first place vote. Lamar got 49. So last year they gave it to Lamar because of the record. So now because Lamar has really good, not the best stats in the universe, but really good stats, and above Josh and most, you can't just give it to him because stats. Because last year you told the stats didn't matter. You said only record and seeding mattered. So if you're looking at record and seeding and good play, the only options right now are Allen and Jared Goff. And Nick Wright said it, I think yesterday or whatever. Whoever wins that Week 15 game between the Lions and the Bills is probably going to win the MVP. And is this Allen's best year statistically? No. Is it his best year? Make decision making wise and producing probably. But there's the years past. He had 45 total touchdowns the year Rodgers had 50 total touchdowns. He lost that one because Rodgers only had 4 picks. Allen had 8 picks. And I guess I was losing Mike a little bit there. But even last year, 44 total touchdowns. But they said, oh, he's 11-6 and, had a couple interceptions, so we can't give it to him. But now all of a sudden, they want to switch it up just because Lamar isn't the 1 seed. And it's more of like a popularity kind of vote. But in this situation, our guy's in that spot because he's fighting for a 1 seed, and Jared Goff is also fighting for a 1 seed. So those are my 2 picks right now, and Lamar's obviously third. But if he doesn't even win his division, because he has a chance to lose his division, you can't give an MVP to someone who lost their division, no matter what the stats are.
I would agree with that. And one thing I predicted at the beginning of the year was that Josh Allen would have his lowest interception percentage. Right now, he's at 1.5%, which is his lowest. His lowest was back in 2020. Prior to that, with a 1.7. So he's been fantastic, and I think that just goes to the maturity of Josh Allen, also the scheme that we're running this year, and he's A plus. And in my opinion, there's nobody who can do what he does. So he's, if
Oh,
you look at
right.
this, right, there's what he did in that Chiefs game, that 26-yard touchdown. Just look at that. That'll tell you all that you need to know. And basically, all that he did in that game was incredible. So to me,
Yeah,
he's the top.
absolutely.
He's the front runner for sure. If we get the 2nd seed, I'm gonna say it's got to be a lock for Josh Allen. It's got to be a lock.
Yeah, I'd agree, and not only because that, but he deserved it the last couple years, and it was always like a formality that kept him out of it. And I always say, like, people always bring up how great Cam Newton was, and I'm pretty sure if you take Allen's worst year out of the last 4, it was better than Cam Newton's MVP season, and Allen still hasn't won an MVP. So yeah, maybe his total stats will be down from last year and the year before that, but he's playing like an MVP because he doesn't have a guy like Stephon Diggs. He's carrying everybody and making them better, and we have the best record we've had in a long time, and taking care of the football. We have one of the best offenses in the NFL, and yeah, I mean, 23 total touchdowns in 11 games. He might not look like a lot, but he still has a chance of getting the 40. And you look at situations where I know you didn't agree with me, but that Coleman touchdown that got called back, he was already halfway in the end zone. That should have never been called back as a touchdown. And then that Miami game where Coleman dropped the touchdown and got intercepted, that's another touchdown that should have been called. And also in that same game, he had 2 touchdowns called back from penalties. So at the end of the day, a lot of I know you can say that probably by anybody, but he's still putting the ball in the end zone, whether it gets called back or not. And we still got a lot of football left. We got some big games coming up. He might ball out even more. And if you go head to head with Goff and Detroit, and you put up a 3 to 5 touchdown game and you win, I don't see and you finish 14-3, 15-2. I don't see how you don't win it.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, cool. A+ all across the board here. And again, on the rewatch, please give us your grades for all these position groups we've went through. Let's move on to the special teams. Sean, we can't forget the special teams. So let me throw it to you, your thoughts and your grade.
This is tough because you got Bass missing extra points, but he made the 61-yard field goal. And then Sam Martin's been really good at punting. I mean, he was good last year, but I really think a lot of people looked at his net punts and were like, oh, it's really low. But then we punted a lot from like the 50. So obviously the net yardage isn't going to be a lot, but he's been fantastic this year. Reed's been okay. He's had a couple bad snaps here and there, and the coverage unit's been okay, maybe a little bit better than last year. But man, missing extra points is tough. I want to say like C+. Maybe
Okay.
B minus overall on a good day, but can't be missing extra points. And Reed doesn't have bad snaps all the time, but there's a couple high snaps where it could disrupt the rhythm of a kicker. So got to be better at that.
Real quick comment from Jessica, off topic. Doubt DJ Humphries will really help out KC. I think he was the tackle they just signed. In my opinion, it takes 2 years to come back from a torn ACL. For a lineman, totally agree, Jessica. And then she has it as a solid B for special teams. And for me, I'm going to agree with her, Sean, and I'm going to tell you why. That 61-yarder to win that game against Miami it erased a lot of those extra points that were missed for me. And that took him up quite
definitely.
And he went on a hot run after that. None of his kicks, correct me if I'm wrong, none of his kicks, anything that he's missed, has cost us the game. I don't think so. Right? There's 2 games we lost. That Baltimore game, no. And then in the Texans game, it was reversed on us. Some guy kicks a 59-yarder to win the game against us. So because of that 61-yarder being the longest in Bills franchise history, and that was such a huge, huge game against those Dolphins, I'm going to keep it at a B. I think Sam Martin's been very steady. I think the special teams, I'm going to include the coverage as well. Cam Lewis. I mean, I didn't mention Cam Lewis, but I'm going to mention him now. He's been phenomenal on special teams, and not only on the defense as well when he's called into action. But the dude's been making plays left and right with the tackle. So I'm going to give him a solid B, and especially when I include the coverage and things like that, punt coverage. Of course, I'll tell you what, the kickoff has been strange. This whole kickoff thing, I thought it was really going to play more into. There were going to be some things I know you were concerned about it, the new kickoff rule with the landing zone. I still think it will once the weather comes into play. We really haven't had anyone who's hit too much weather yet. But let me tell you, when you're playing in Buffalo and that wind's blowing, someone's going to start missing the landing zone. And I think you're going to see, because right now the NFL's just said, look, kick it out of the end zone. I'll let them take it at the 30. Last year, the 25-yard line was the starting place if you kicked it out of the end zone or they downed it in the end zone. Now it's 30, and teams have just decided let's go with it. It's very rare when you see a run back these days. I can't even imagine. Have we had a run? I know. Yeah, we did. Right, we did against us, didn't we? Did we have a
Yeah,
touchdown return
the first game
early
of the
in the?
year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet. I know a lot of people were concerned about that. I thought there would be
Yeah.
more plays. I think they should have. The original request when the rule was first put into thought and put into to be voted on. They said if you kick it in the end zone, they get it at the 35. I think that might have changed some teams' minds, but maybe they'll do that next year. But so far, it really hasn't had a
Yeah,
big
maybe.
impact. Really has an impact, but it
Yeah.
will. It's coming. Weather's
Yeah. Well,
coming.
yeah. Well, it happened to us the first game of the year, so I remember that because I brought that up, like, and everybody loves it until we lose games because of it, and that's what kept Arizona in the game because it was a we kind of we're up 2 scores, and then that happened, and everyone thinks, oh, the Bills struggled to beat Arizona, and it's like, well, I don't know if you would say it was a struggle. I mean, we were down 17-3, and then we caught up and we were up 2 scores. So I don't know about that. Um, but yeah, maybe I'll say B minus because Codrington's been really good, minus a couple bad catches, catching it in the inside the 10 twice, and or returning it halfway in the end zone and getting to the 20 instead of just taking it at the 30. But overall, he's been very, very, very good and give us a lot of good field position. And he's very consistent. Punt returns, he gets like 10 yards a clip, it seems. Kick return, he's just, again, very consistent with that when he does take it. And he has some big punt returns. So I think that carries him up to a B. And, coverage could still be a little bit better sometimes. But I think we, for the most part, been solid.
Yeah, good stuff there. And Jessica, good point here. Seems like a lot of kickers. Justin Tucker, one of the best, right? He's been going through something, and I get to see him a lot because Jonah makes me watch those Ravens games, and we saw him miss a couple big ones in this last game that they ended up losing against Cleveland. So, what about Cleveland? James Winston comes in, and have you seen? He's all over social media, by the way. This guy is just excited to play the game of football, and my goodness, it's fun to see. I mean, he's been around a long time. Cleveland has beaten what they beat the Ravens, they beat Pittsburgh this past week. I mean, what's going on there? But I'm just saying, pretty cool stuff, and they've helped us out, right? We're in the dogfight with Pittsburgh. Cleveland beats them.
Yeah.
Now we're in the number 2 seed right now. We're sitting at number 2. Let's not lose that.
Yep, we're
Um,
in control of that.
yeah,
And
we are in
it's,
control. We got some tough games
it's
coming
pretty
up right
good.
now. What we got? We got the Niners after the bye. We got the Rams, and then we got the Lions. That one's going to be an interesting one, a fun one. But you know what? This is going to be that will be, to me, the true test of how this team is. Because are the Lions that much better than everybody else? Right now they've been rolling, but have they really played a solid team that you can think of lately? Most of them
Um,
have not been too solid.
Well, the Texans game, they threw 5 picks and still won, but the Texans haven't really
That's
played
crazy.
well. Even
Yeah.
even all year they have. That's what, like, when we lost to the Texans, how we lost. I was like, we didn't even play good, and we probably should have still won this football game. So I haven't been high on Houston the entire year, but they played Green Bay. I think that was the last good team they played, and the score looked different than it was. I mean, Love threw. He was about to get sacked, and he threw the ball like 1 foot in the air, and it got picked off, like short field, and they got a pick six off of it. And I think if that never happened, and they would have won 17-14, so it was like 23-14 or something. So the Lions didn't play great, but Love kind of gifted them a touchdown there. So when they played really good teams, they don't blow them out like that. So I don't know. I think they're good. I do think, again, it's professional football, so I understand, but we don't do this kind of thing. When we're up by a lot, we kind of just run the clock out. But when they're up by a lot, they just try to. Because I was at the game with Jake, and they were putting up 50 on the Seahawks, on the Jags, and Goff threw 4 touchdowns after they already ran 3 touchdowns in. So, and the game was already over at half, and it's like, man, you're still throwing 4 touchdown passes in the second half when the game's over. But it's like, certain coaches like to boost up the stats of the players, and if you're going to do that, you got to hope you can go all the way, because you know there's been teams that were really good, and like the Saints a couple years ago, I think they were like 13-3 and they lost in the first round. So it's like, you know, you got to be able to live up to dominating all these bad teams. Now, if they beat us by 52-6, then yeah, that's
It's
eye opening.
Yeah.
That's eye opening. But I think they're a great team. But I also think we're a great team. And even if we don't beat them and we go 14-3, I think we proved everybody, even us, wrong. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's even if you go 13-4, that'd be absolutely incredible.
Yep.
Which
Agreed.
I think we have a chance to go 14-3. I mean, I would love to beat the Lions. I'd rather beat the Niners and the Lions and lose to the Rams than beat the Rams and the Niners and lose to the Lions, just because the magnitude of that game and potential Super Bowl matchup. Obviously, I'm not saying we're going to make it guaranteed, but that's the Super Bowl everybody would like is Lions Bills. So
Yeah.
definitely got to play well for that
I
one.
know. I know Purdy got hurt and he's out this week, so it'll be interesting to see if he plays next week. But okay, we got our final position group to talk about, and that is the coaching staff. Let me throw it to you, and I want you to. And I'm just talking Bobby Babich, Joe Brady, Sean McDermott. Talk about each of them. Give me your grade.
Yeah, well, Brady does a fantastic job, but then there's certain times where you're like, dude, like the Chiefs game, we couldn't run the ball for anything. I was about to bet people money that we were going to run the ball for 1 yard every time I called it, and it's like he was so quick to run the ball every time against Dallas because it worked, but he kept doing it at the worst times and putting us in second and longs and third and longs, and made it hard on our offense and easier for the Chiefs defense to make plays. Luckily, we were still 60% on third down, even with having to go third and long constantly. So he's still learning, but overall, I think he knows what he wants to do. He knows the skill sets of our players, and you know been pretty solid. Babich seems to be solid. Hard to know how much McDermott's really involved, but defense has been good, so can't complain about Babich too much. And I'm one of the people that are like, if McDermott can't get it done, when's he ever going to? But I will say, there's certain coaches who've won multiple coaches of the year, and then McDermott has never been even considered. And what was that? I think the first year, the Kevin Stefanski, the Browns were like 10-6. They're like, oh, he has to win Coach of the Year because he took a team that was horrible and made them to 10-6. But like McDermott's brought teams to 13-3, and we were in a playoff drought. He's never even been considered. And this year, we're 9-2 after everyone said we were going to miss the playoffs, and he's still not talked about for like Coach of the Year possibility. And I think as much as he's failed us in the playoffs, I think he definitely deserves to be talked about as Coach of the Year, because Kevin Stefanski, I think, has two. Kevin O'Connell's got two, or at least one each. And, McDermott's had better teams and done better jobs than they have. So if we go 14-3, he's got to be Coach of the Year. Even if we go 13-4, got to be Coach of the Year, considering what everybody said about us and how we have no talent and we lost everybody on defense. Our window is cemented shut, and we have no shot at the Super Bowl or playoffs. I think, I think they've earned a lot of respect from me, the coaching staff.
Yeah. I'm
So
gonna
an A, yeah.
I want to give him an A as well. And for me, McDermott, I mean, the aggressiveness this year, going for it on fourth down, like really, he had two opportunities in that Chiefs game, two opportunities to kick a field goal. We went for it on fourth down two times. We missed the one. That was the interception when we were trying to throw it to Knox. By the way, I now agree with you. That was Knox's fault after I rewatched the film, your film that I was editing. Like, yeah, that was definitely Knox's fault. He keeps going. That's going to be an easy completion or a penalty, like you said. But then the game's on the line late in that fourth quarter. I think there was over 2 minutes still in that game, and the Chiefs had two timeouts, and it's 4th and 2. You can kick the field goal, go up by 5, but he says no. Let's go. Let's put this game out of hand right now. 4th and 2. He calls up Brady. Him and Brady are talking. I just can imagine that conversation. What do we got, Brady? What do we got, Joe? And they both say at the same time, Allen. Let's put it in Allen's hands and his legs, as a matter of fact. And great call. So I love what McDermott's been doing. I feel like he's been more aggressive this year. I love to see that. And the only thing, I mean, he's made a few mistakes on, reviews. Like, we paid this guy, this NFL official, to come to our team and let us know, like, yeah, you should challenge that, right? And there's been a couple that were like, why did you just waste the time out? And then I think the only other big thing I can still remember is that trick play against the Ravens. Like we're starting to come back a little bit, and we made that crazy play, and again that failed.
Yeah.
But still, everything else, I think he's been on point. And again, the aggressiveness alone for me, he's always been in my book a very very good coach, and it takes it up another level this year. So I'm going to give the whole team, all the coaching staff an A. I think Brady. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's a little frustrating. It's like, oh, we're trying to force that run. But you know what? You got a great line. At any point in time they can open a hole, and something can be some big play can happen. I
Yeah,
did
for
not.
sure.
Yeah, I did not like in that Chiefs game, dude. Like you said, I didn't like it so much there because we had a lot of 3rd and 7s, a lot of 3rd and 8s, but we were
Yeah.
converting. But that, give that, chalk that up to Josh Allen and the receivers on those plays. But that's not something you can sustain. You want to have
Right.
those 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 3s or less. But
Yeah.
we
That
converted
that's
last time. Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Just because I understand you want to keep running the ball, but if you're getting 1 yard of carry every time, like
change it up.
you're just hurting yourself. And sure, could Spags have held back some blitz packages and certain defense? I'm sure, but we didn't do anything really groundbreaking on offense either. So it's
Yep.
not like we were giving our all and they weren't. They were trying their best to win. So were we. But I'm sure we both left things out for the next matchup if we do play. But we were both trying, and we were passing the ball well, even without two of our best weapons. And to constantly see 2nd and 11, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 9, it's just like, dude, passing's working. Passing's
Yeah.
working, running's not. So I understand you want to run the ball or run differently. Like that's what I always say too. It's like we run the same way every time. Zone left, zone right, toss left. And it's just, you know, you got to start understanding, you do have a Curtis Samuel, maybe run a jet sweep. Maybe I do like how they did they used the Allen sweep uh as a pass as well, as a pass option. And because usually we just run that sweep in the red zone and we get nothing, or we run Josh up the middle, which I hate. We still did that. We ran Josh up the middle like twice in that game and got nothing, which is just like a waste of a play. And you're getting your quarterback, smashed by all the linemen. But yeah, we ran the Allen sweep and we had receivers go out for a pass. Nobody was open, so we took it or threw it away. That's something I want to keep using. And but yeah, little things here and there. And the McDermott thing against Houston, where Allen had his worst day ever, and they just kept making him pass the ball. When it's like, maybe if you just ran it one time, we could have punted it a little bit deeper. And because we weren't getting zero, we were getting 3-4 yards of carry that game, and you passed the ball 3 times and got nothing. So if you ran the ball once, you're helping yourself out more than you did by passing the ball every time. So situational, you gotta read the room. And I know you want to put the ball in Allen's hands, but if he was 9 for 27 and just you could tell he was so focused on the Diggs stuff and proving everybody that we don't need Diggs, it really got in his head. And like that was the game where he had his worst bad throw percentage, and it was like I think it was like 40% bad throw percentage, which was horrible. And he just wasn't in. He was out of it mentally. Um, but yeah, overall, I think the coaches have done a great job, and McDermott's a great coach. But like I said, my issue is just in the playoffs. It seems like he always has conflict within, and then it just the wrong things happen. And but yeah, regular season head coach. I mean, the guys love playing for him, and he's a great guy.
Yep. And he's going to prove everybody wrong this playoff. So listen, eight. I feel like overall, A, obviously. I think we were very, very realistic. I don't think we're being homers here. Sean, great job. I did want to mention, like, we've done this. This will be our 3rd year. We're doing a holiday spectacular in December. It'll be Christmas falls on a Wednesday, we typically do it the week before, maybe a Friday, Saturday, or even Sunday night. This year's a little different. It's a fun family event, and in the last 2 years we had done a charity. We raised money for families in need with kids with cancer. This year we're not doing it only because it took a toll on us last year. We lost a little boy shortly after the show. Took a little toll on us. I think Brett might be doing that, so we're going to help him out if he's doing with the Punt Foundation. But what we're going to do is, again, we're going to have some fun. We're going to give away. We're going to give back. We're going to use that opportunity to give back to those that have supported us all year. So there will be some fun contests. There'll be some giveaways, gift certificates, fun things. There'll be some performances. We usually get some really, really just great talent to perform some songs for us. So check it out. I'll let you know. Just keep an eye out. We'll mention the exact date once we dial that in. But I'm looking forward to that. It was a lot of fun. Well, you can say it was a lot of fun, but it was for a very important thing last year. But hey,
Yeah.
this year, again, we're going to bring the holiday spectacular for the whole family. Santa showed up last year. We expect Santa to show up again. Kids love that one. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that one. And then we'll get back to our normal scheduled programming this week. We'll have the pregame on the Red, White, and Ruthless on this Saturday. And then, of course, you'll have the Rush Hour back on Sunday night, next Sunday. And we might have some shows during the week. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, Sean, great job. I wanted to mention that picture of you and your wife. You know how they have people at the store when you go buy frames, right? You have these beautiful couples that are in the frame.
Yeah.
Like, it just draws you to them. I think you two and your little boy should be that picture because it's a beautiful picture. Your little boy's beautiful. We got to get you on those frames because you guys would kill it on that one. So beautiful picture.
That was years ago. My beard wasn't even full back then, so that was a long time ago.
Well, I think you guys still look the same. You haven't aged. I've seen some recent pictures on Facebook and stuff like that. Haven't changed. So beautiful couple.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Any final closing thoughts from you, man?
Yeah, well, it's been exciting. Can't believe the regular season's almost over, but hopefully we have 10 total games left, or maybe 9 if we get the 1 seed. That'd be pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely exciting, and we got to enjoy this because, I think preseason we were all a little bit concerned with the turnover of coaches and players, and we felt like we were putting a lot on. Hey, Josh, you got to do everything again, and there's still some questionable decisions and choices with players, but overall, I mean, this has probably been the most fun of a team we've had in recent memory, even, and very excited to see what they do. They have a lot of good games coming up where they can continue to prove how good of a team they are, and it's been nice to see how how the other did the opposite of what everybody thought, and then we were looked at as though we're not going to make the playoffs, and there's no way we can compete with Miami and the Jets, right? And then now we have more wins than they do total, so very awesome. And then again, thank you for always doing the editing. It makes the videos way better than what I used to do, and I will be doing redoing the week 4. I'm pretty sure it was week 4 where I deleted it before you did it. So I'll be doing that in the bye week. So I'll be all caught up to the offensive line films. And yeah, maybe we'll do something fun. I thought about maybe highlighting Ed Oliver and doing some videos of that, but we'll see. I appreciate everything you do, Mike. Thanks.
Very cool. Thank you, man. I saw a interview with Deion Dawkins today from what's her name? Kay Adams, Up and Adams, the Up and Adams show.
Okay.
So she had him on her show, and they talked about that number 1 seed and how important it is for what he thought. And he said, yeah, I mean, we've been number 2 last year. And maybe we get that number 1 seed. Maybe things change this year. And he said also that the one of the big differences this year is just the chemistry. Those guys get together all the time. They have pizza night at McGovern's, I think, or whatever. They might even switch it up who's serving the dinner, but they're just great chemistry. And I think it's the same thing on the D line as well. and then the whole team. We always know Josh likes to host people over his house and just build that chemistry. So great chemistry this year. Super excited to see what comes out of these next 6 games. Let's get that number 1 seed and let's go. Let's go all the way this year. And this is a year where I think we there was doubt, a lot of doubt. All the media, every media outlet said the Bills are going to be in second place in the East. They're going to take a hit. This is a rebuild year. Bills got out of the gate a little slow, but 6 in a row, and they're just getting better, and we're getting healthier. We're getting healthier, and it's going to be exciting, Sean. I can't wait. So, but this week, we get the rest and cheer against other teams this week.
Yeah, and then I love Thanksgiving football. I do miss when we played on there, but the last 2 times we did, we had 2 ACL injuries, so it'll be nice to just watch Thanksgiving football, enjoy it with the family, and then the guys, they went on vacation probably this week, and then this week they'll be able to be back in the building, get ready for the game, and have Thanksgiving with their families, and get ready for a Niners team that might be missing Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa's got like a groin and a oblique injury, so he might be gone, and then Purdy's got a throwing arm injury, so can't sleep on him still, but got to be able to take care of that team at home off the bye. So enjoy the week off that they had this week. Get ready, get in the lab and the film room, and ready to win this coming week.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica, for joining us. Good night to you as well. Yeah, when the players do get back from their vacation, they're checking out Nickel City Mafia's report card show, and they're going to be super happy. They're going to be excited to hear that pretty much everybody scored well. And let's go. So we're going to end it right now.
Real quick, Mike. I would say what a difference it makes, because I remember last year at the bye, I think we might have been 6-6, and I was like, they shouldn't be going on vacation. They should be in the lab right now, film every day for the next 2 weeks. And now it's just like, yeah, go enjoy your vacation, go do whatever you want, go drink, go smoke, go do whatever, and because they earned it this time. So it's just funny how a year can change.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. All right, everyone, have a good one. Enjoy your games tomorrow. Just cheer for the team you want to lose. And that will help the Bills. And we'll go from there. But just relax, no stress tomorrow. Your team is 9-2. Let's go. Take care, Sean. Take care of everybody. Go Bills.
Go Bills.